Hey students, hope you're doing well. Today we are talking about dilutions. So this continues our discussion of molarity and solutions. And today we're talking about dilutions. This should be a really simple, straightforward, and quick set of notes. So let's jump right in. Today's date is 4/21. Dilutions, page 22. All right, so we're going to start off with a definition of dilutions. And a dilution is just basically we are lowering the concentration. All right, we are lowering the concentration of something. You can probably think of it in terms of if you've ever bought frozen orange juice and then you diluted it, or Kool-Aid. When you make your Kool-Aid, you add water to it to dilute it to lower the concentration so it's not so strong. All right, so the formula for this is very, very simple. It is M1 V1 equals M2 V2, where M stands for molarity. This is what we learned yesterday. M is molarity and V is volume. So it's pretty straightforward. It's pretty simple to do. M1 V1 equals M2 V2. M is molarity, V is volume. So let's see if we can't go through and try an example or two. We've got actually two here. So if we read this first example, it says how many milliliters? We're looking for milliliters, which we're going to go with is a volume. So I'm going to label that as V1 because it's the first volume I saw. Of concentrated sulfuric acid, 16 molar. This is going to be M1 because it goes with that V1. We're trying to figure out how many milliliters of this strong stuff do we need to make. We have 250 milliliters, so that's going to be volume 2 of a 2 molar solution. So this is going to be M2. All right, so kind of like we did with the gas laws, I like to write it out to the side. M1, 16. V1 is our question mark. M2 is 2.00. And V2 is our 250 milliliters. So pretty straightforward here. We're just going to plug it in and solve. So remember, formulas M1 V1 equals M2 V2. And let's plug it in and see what we got. So we have 16 times V1 equals 2.00 times 250. Now, if we're trying to isolate V1, we're trying to get V1 by itself, we need to divide each side by 16 to get the V1 by itself. So 16 will be down here. It will cancel right there. It'll be like this. So our V1 will be equal to 2.00 times 250, and then divide by 16. Pretty straightforward, pretty easy. So we're going to plug this into our calculator. 2 times 250 divided by 16. Our answer in our calculator is 31.25. Now we have to look at sig figs. If we look up here in our volume, because that's what we use for our sig figs, how many sig figs are here? There are 4. So our answer needs to include 4 because volumes, if we have 2 of them, we want to go with the same one. So 31.25 is 4 sig figs. So we're just going to put an ml on that and we are done with that problem. 31.25. Okay, let's try another one here. Hopefully it was pretty simple, that first one. All right, so it says if 25 milliliters, that looks like a volume, of 0.56 molar M1 H2SO4 is diluted to a volume of 125. So my total volume is V2. What is my molarity? So we're looking for M2 in this case. So right now what we know here to the side, we know we have 0.56 molar. We know we have 25 milliliters. M2 is our question mark in this case, and V2 is 125 milliliters. All right, so again, the same formula we used above, M1 V1 equals M2 V2. M1 is 0.56 times, we've got 25 milliliters of that, My parentheses looks a little rough there. Let's try that again. All right. Is equal to M2, which is what we're looking for, and then times 125. So our goal is to get the M2 by itself, so we divide each side by 125. 125's cancel on this side, 125 on this side. So when we write this out, M2 is equal to 0.56 times 25 divided by 125. Sorry about that 5, it looks a little rough, so I'm going to fix it there. Alright, and so let's go ahead and type this in. 0.56 times 25 divided by 125. And we get, when we type it in our calculator, we get 0.112. Now, if we look back up to the top for our sig figs, molarity is where we're looking because this one's a molarity. So we go to this molarity. There are 2 sig figs there, so our answer can only contain 2. So the answer we write down is 0.11 molar. And there we have it. That's it. That's dilutions. Hope that was easy.